Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Review is. I know it was weird I didn't sing it that time. I really appreciate you guys joining me for another episode. Me not doing the song just threw me off. And I don't know where to go from here. What the Smut Book Review. Okay. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode. I really appreciate it. In today's video, we're not reviewing a book. Do you know why? Would you like for me to tell you why? Because we're going to do another massive rant video of a 5-star rant for your 1-star review. Pow pow. Gena Showalter edition. Okay, if you have read Paranormal Romance, you know who Gena Showalter is. She is one of the queens of paranormal romance. She is a very wildly popular Lords of the Underworld series, which is like a different take on Greek mythology and hulking warrior type heroes. Yum. She also has a few young adult type series. Alice in Wonderland books. I forget the actual name of those. She had the Forest of Good and Evil series, which did unfortunately get canceled after 2 books, but both of those first 2 books were very good, and I wish for more. But so you may know who I'm talking about. If you don't, then this rant will not be for you, and you're gonna be like, why is she bitching about this? If you do know her and you like her, if you do know her and you like her books and you like her writing, then you're gonna be all here for it, because I've printed out. I went light on this one, y'all. I've printed out 3 pages of 1-star reviews for some of her books, and I just took a couple of random books because, unlike Cressley Cole, I do have favorites, but I tried to stick with the first book in each series because those were like the introductory books in that series for people. So their first impressions of that series come from those books. So I tried to stick with that for the running theme for this one. So the first review that I'm going to read, and P.S. there's one particular person in here who shows up multiple times and complains about stuff every time, and yet continues to read the books. So we're gonna talk about that because that pissed me off. But then again, what doesn't piss me off? What doesn't piss you off makes you more homicidal. Okay. So yeah. So we're gonna get into it because I remember this. God, what is wrong with me? How did I even do that with my mouth? I need a moment. I don't think I could recreate that if I wanted to, which I don't, because that was scary as fuck. Okay, so the first review that I'm gonna read is a 1-star review for her book Heartless, which is a fairly new release. It came out, I think, this past year. And it's her first series, paranormal series, involving like a fae kingdom, like a fairy, whatever. You know what I'm saying. The first one, okay, before I do that, Gena herself is literally a ray of sunshine. I've never seen anyone, author, person I'd pass on the street, family member, friend. I've never seen anyone with such an upbeat, positive attitude in my life. I thought that I was like annoyingly chipper all the time, which I'm not, but that's most people's impression of me is she's never sad. She's never angry. She's always go with the flow. She's always cool. She's always happy. Always has a good outlook on life. Gena has a smile. First of all, she has the most perfect teeth I've ever seen in my life. She has a smile that literally lights up a room. Like, it's just so big and so genuine. And anytime she's talking passionately about something that she really loves, her smile is like Cheshire cat big. And those teeth are just like gleaming, and it's infectious. And not in a bad way. It's literally like you can't be in a foul mood when you watch her talk, because she's so sweet and nice and happy and I'm just like, I love you. Can we be friends? Anyway, that's a side note. So I just want to preface this video with that. I also want to preface this video with a disclaimer that says, if you're watching this and one of the reviews that I read and subsequently rip to shreds was posted by you, I apologize for bringing you out, but at the same time, I really hated everything you said. And you should regret saying it. So we're at a stalemate, because I'm not sorry, but I don't like what you said. Okay, so let's get into it. It's nothing personal. I don't know you in real life. I don't even know your online presence. All I know is you posted a 1-star review and you said stuff I didn't like. And so I copied it, and now I'm going to tell you how wrong you are. And that's pretty much all there is to it, okay? So let's have a good time, let's have fun. Because I don't want this to be like a negative Debbie Downer type video. I want it to be like a funny, Candace's roasting people video. Okay, so the first review is for her book, Heartless. The subject line says, "Did I read a different book?" Did you? I don't know. I did not enjoy this book at all. The writing seemed to be written down for teens, except for being full of lots of torture, murder, and sex. I did not like either of the main characters. They were both petty, immature, and ridiculous. They seem to think it is okay to torture and murder people just because they want to. I will not be reading any more of this series. There used to be a time when a book by Showalter was a sure thing. Maybe not anymore. Okay. So you said it seems to be written for teens, except for full of lots of torture, murder, and sex. You've read other Gena Showalter books. Every single one of them contains sex. Unless you're specifically looking for YA books. And you thought that that's what this was, and then you got sex instead. But then you seem to be annoyed at the fact that it felt like it was written for teens. So I'm unclear as to what you thought you were going to read. I'm confused. Okay. Next one. Subject line, not for me. Okay, cool. I can live with that. I had to make myself finish this book. It just lost me at about 60%. It was just silly, and I thought very childish. In fact, I went back and checked to make sure it wasn't YA. It feels like it was written for teens, except for the sex. I'm getting deja vu. I can't recommend this book. It's the start of a new series, but for me, it was one and done. Okay, well, first of all, go away. Because Gena doesn't need readers like you in her life. Go away. Secondly, it feels like it was written for teens except for the sex. Did the same person write both of these reviews? Because that's kind of exactly what the first person said. I read this book. I loved this book. Cookie, who's the main female character, and Kesar, who is the main male character. Neither one of them struck me as teen-like in any way. Kesar is a demented, if you have read Cressley Cole's IAD series, he is very similar to Lothair. He's mentally deranged and psychotic, and it's just all his nuts and bolts are not there, but he's also hot, which they tell you from the outset, so I don't know what you thought. This was Gena's first foray into writing something in the realm of the Fae, so maybe that was why it came across to some people as it may have been more fantasy type, which a lot of books that have come out recently, and when I say recently, within the last like 2 or 3 years, have been fantasy geared, like Jennifer L. Armentrout's Blood and Ash series. Like, those books are almost very like high fantasy, and you can tell that they were originally written for young adult or new adult, which I don't know what the fucking difference is, but I've heard both terms used. But even before the end of the first book in that series, there was sex. So like, I don't know what people expect when they read a young adult fantasy novel, or when they read a fantasy novel in general. Like, if there's an element from the jump of some type of love story, you would immediately assume that at some point, especially if the book is written by a woman, that at some point there's going to be sex. If you've read Showalter before, you know that there's going to be sex. All of her books, literally all of her books, have contained torture, murder, and sex. How are you surprised? Those are the only 2 I took down for Heartless because I was trying to keep my video short, so we're moving on. The next few I took out of The Evil Queen, which was the first book in her young adult fantasy-ish type series, paranormal series. It was the Force of Good and Evil series, which had 2 books that came out. And I guess the publisher decided they didn't want to move forward with any more books. Eventually, she might self-publish some. We don't know. But these reviews were taken for the first book in the series before anybody knew that the series was not going to be a whole thing. 1 star, obviously. Subject line: boring. Love the Alice series. Disliked this enough that I finished it, then threw it out. Main character is whiny and annoying. That's all she said. First of all, disliked this enough that I finished it, then threw it out. Gena doesn't give a fuck. She got your money. You paid for the book, then you threw it out. So really, the only person you fucked over was yourself. You could have traded that book in somewhere else for someone else to possibly enjoy and gotten a few dollars out of it. You're not smart. If you don't like a book and you don't plan on keeping it to read ever again, trade it in at a local bookstore, get a few bucks out of it, pass it on to somebody who might actually enjoy it. Instead, you threw it in the trash. It's like back in the day when people were protesting Nike and they were putting up videos of them burning sneakers they had bought. Nike doesn't give a fuck You paid them $200 for those sneakers. They got your money. What you do with it after the fact means absolutely nothing to them. They got your money. Gena got your money. Go away. That's all I can say. Just go away. Because if you're stupid enough to pay money for a book and then throw it in the trash because you didn't like it, you don't deserve the next book. Go away. Okay. Next one. Can't do it. Tried to read, just could not do it. Tried to return for refund and not permitted. I mean, I can usually read anything, but this just was not for me. Obviously, you cannot read anything because you hated this enough that you could not read it. Then you tried to return it to get a refund? How often do you hear of people getting refunds just because they didn't like the book? Is that a thing? Can you do that? Because I've never heard of such a thing. You buy chicken from the grocery store, you cook it, you eat it. Oh, I didn't like the way I seasoned it. I'm gonna try and return the chicken. I don't understand what your logic is. Cheap, number one. Number two, if you didn't like the book, you have bad taste. That's all I'm saying. You got bad taste. Okay. The next one, 1 star. Subject line, as awful as I imagined. This one is the girl who comes up again later on another book review and says something similar to the effect of I hated it. But let's see the first one. Well, I finished it. Took over a year of painful, labored reading, but I am 110% positive of 3 things. Number 1, Gena Showalter has never met an actual teenager. I'm pretty sure she has teenage kids. I'm just saying, I don't know. Number 2, Gena's first drafts are her final drafts. It's the only way to explain all the plot holes, undeveloped characters, and cringy dialogue. Number 3, she knows nothing, in caps, about ants. Okay, keeping in mind that I don't remember, my brain is trash, and I don't remember anything from any plot of any book I've ever read. It's just gone. But what the fuck are you actually talking about? Was there a chapter in this book devoted to the migratory patterns of ants or something? If I missed that, someone let me know. I mean, don't really let me know because that's a rhetorical thing, but what are you talking about? Out of the 3 things that you chose to dicker about, one of them was Gena's lacking knowledge of ant colonies and the way they live their life. That's what you found to complain about? Was the fact that she didn't accurately describe how an ant lives? What are you talking about? Okay, that's literally all the review says. Those 3 things. She's never met a teenager. That her first draft is her final draft. I know that's not the case because I'm a member of her Facebook group and she updates us on stuff like drafts. Turning in the first draft. Doing edits. Turning in a second draft. Okay, so that's not the case. It just amazes me that out of all of the things you could have put in a review, all of the legitimate complaints that you could have had, you chose to complain about ants. Okay, next. Can't believe how bad this book is. I seriously need to stop buying Gena Showalter's books as over the last couple of years, they have descended into absolute rubbish. I'm not sure who the audience is supposed to be for this book, YA or adult, but either are going to have issues engaging with the characters and getting through the appalling narrative. After 50 or so pages, I've put the book in the bin, as frankly the storyline, characters, and quality of writing is just utter rubbish. That's the only way I can describe it. Again, you bought the book, you read a little bit, you didn't like it, you put it in the trash. You are an idiot. Why did you put it in the trash? This symbolic gesture of mutiny against Gena Showalter and her book series by throwing the book in the garbage. Oh, I went on the review and I said it was so heinous. I threw it in the trash. We get your point. But the only person you hurt was yourself. Because you spent money that went into Gena's pocket and then you threw your money in the garbage. Okay. This book was written for young adults. This was a YA novel. There was some sex in it. Not graphically described sex, but there was some sex. But at the end of the day, it was a young adult novel. I read the book. The plot was fine. The characters were fine. The storyline was fine. I feel like some of these people just bought the book without reading the blurb, without doing any kind of research, and just went into it completely blind, and then decided that they didn't understand what they had purchased, and so they threw the book in the trash. And then they come onto Amazon to complain about it. If you didn't read the blurb, and you didn't know that it was young adult, or you didn't know what the book was about, and then you want to try and complain about the plot, but you didn't read the blurb. I can't. Okay. The next set of reviews I took from The Darkest Night, which was the first book, technically the first one. There was a prequel novella, but I don't care about that. This was the first full-length novel for her her wildly popular Lords of the Underworld series. I want to state that for the record. Wildly popular. Everybody loves that series. These reviews are from them. First star. ... question mark. The story was good. The writing, though, ... We get it. The names were Ashlyn and Maddox, for fuck's sake. How many times did the author need to write it? So many scenes could have been shorter. Half of the book is about a day. Sex scenes, okay. How old is the author? Okay. I don't remember the names of the two main characters being overly used, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. So many scenes could have been shorter. Do people not like plot? Do you not want details? I've said this before. When you read a book, do you not want the author to describe what's happening? Do you not want them to describe the scenery or the characters or what's going on? Or what do you want? If the author came on and was like, his name was this and her name was this, and they banged, and then they lived happily ever after the end, would you buy that book? No. No one would buy that book because it's 5 sentences and the end. If I'm going to read 300 pages, I expect those 300 pages to be well developed, and I expect them to be detailed, and I expect for you to tell me the scenery and what the person is wearing and their facial features and how tall they are, and do they have a big dick? I need these are important details I need. Don't leave anything out. So for you to come up and go, these scenes could have been shorter. Shut up. What? No. No. I will write you the book with the 5 sentences, and you can pay me $7.99 or whatever mass market goes for these days. And then you'll be happy, and you'll have nothing left to complain about. In the meantime, I'll take this 350-page book that describes every hair on Maddox's ball sack, and that'll be for me, because that's what I want. Okay? Deal? Is that deal? Okay, cool. Next. Soppy romance. Nothing spectacular. Did you know that this was a romance novel? And did you think it was murder mystery? Did you think it was suspense? Don't know why I keep buying from this author. Oh, I'm gonna have a seizure. So this is not the first time you've bought books from Gena. And literally, she writes the same genre or subgenres for all of her books. And you didn't know what you were getting. So much promise, yet so little offering. Her heroes are not alphas. They are strong men, but not alpha at all. Okay. In the realm of the Lords of the Underworld, in the very beginning, we only see a handful of the Lords, because there were 2 groups that split off. There was one big group, they split off into 2 groups. So we only see one of the groups in the beginning. They have a leader. One particular Lord is like the more take charge of the Lords. But they are all huge, hulking, muscle-bound, bulky T-bone steaks, okay? Each one has its own personality and its own backstory and trauma and characteristics, etc., etc., etc. I don't expect in a series for every single book for the male character to be an alpha. Because if it's part of a series, I don't want to recycle the same character over and over and over and over. Why would I want that? I want this character to be the alpha, and then this character to be the flawed, damaged, fucked up one, and then this character to be the sweet one who's looked for love all of his life and has not found it, and he's got puppy dog eyes, and that's what I want. I want a mishmash of male characters that I can, in my trash brain, distinguish one from another. I don't want every single one of them to be, oh, me Tarzan, me take you Jane, against your will. No, I don't want that. Why do you want that? That's boring. That's boring as fuck. So, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay. Really? Question mark. No. Exclamation mark. 4 question marks. What a load of nonsense. Okay. This one is very long. I'm going to read up to the point that I have like my mental meltdown, and then we'll just tackle that. And then she put, arg. I can't anymore. The dialogue is pathetic. And then she put in parentheses, mine, yours, always. What? Maddox, beauty, need, yes, love you, yours, mine, always. Blatty hell. I'm assuming you're British from that. Think I vomited in my mouth with this rubbish. There's not much background about these lords of the underworld, and their characters lack well character and depth and well everything. No commas, no nothing. I don't understand what the fuck you're saying, bitch. And let me not get started on the love scenes, in parentheses, eye roll. What a load of crap. I think I did more eye rolling and huffing than they did talking coherent sentences. I found it excruciating. Quote, note to author, perhaps this is the words you were looking for and not exercising. That's not a word. Okay. I want to pull my eyeballs out. They're straining from all my eye rolling at the ridiculousness of this crap. Oh God. Okay. I don't even know where to begin. I honestly don't even know where to begin. Okay. First of all, your review is incoherent. Not the least bit distinguished. Full of run-on sentences and grammatical errors. Oh God. I absolutely love people who come on and write a 4-page review bashing the author's writing style and how the characters couldn't form a coherent sentence and blah, blah, blah. And your entire review is one giant run-on sentence. Or your entire review is just chock full of just no sentence structure whatsoever. Oh God. Okay. There's not much background about these lords of the underworld. Okay, this is the first book in the series. You did not read it to completion. How the fuck would you know anything about background if you didn't finish the book and you're not even giving the series a shot? I've said this before, and I'll say it again because I love to repeat myself. Anytime I start a new series, I automatically assume that the first book is going to be slow. When I binge a series or I delve into a series that has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books, I assume, as I think many others would, that the storyline and the background plot will build as the series goes along. The first book is meant to hook you enough that you become invested with the series and you have the inclination to continue reading. This book definitely delivered on that. Enough so that a bajillion other women, and maybe some dudes too, have read the 14, 15 books that came after this one. Maybe you have no attention span. Is that what it is? Maybe you're not a good reader. Maybe you should try audio. Maybe then every time the word mine or yours or always or whatever doesn't jump out at you from the page like a fucking cougar, try audio. Maybe it won't traumatize you so much. Give it another shot. I have very little patience for people who read the first book in a series and they read 20% into the book and then they just go, garbage. Couldn't get into it, didn't like it. If you didn't like it, then fine, you didn't like it. You didn't really give it a chance. Just admit that freely. I didn't like it so much that I could not continue it and give this series a chance. Fine. Fuck off with your bad self. I don't care. More for me. But for you to go, this book is garbage, and you read 18% according to your Kindle. No. No. Anyway. And yet I seem to be one of the few that found this book annoying. Okay. One of the few. That should tell you something. Irritating amongst the hundreds that seem to find it amazing. Another eye roll. Have you ever heard the phrase from like your mom? Don't do that with your eyes. They'll get stuck that way. I hope yours get stuck that way. And I hope that when they get stuck that way, looking backwards, that the only thing they can see is the empty space where your brain is supposed to be. And it's clearly not. Okay. Next one, terrible. Okay. This was awful. Do not waste any amount of time or effort on this drivel. It is terribly, terribly bad. No period. Okay, very little capitalization. It is terribly, terribly bad. Okay. I disagree with everything he said, but okay. Next one, ripoff. This is not a new book. I have been waiting and wishing for a new Lords of the Underworld book, but this is just a re-release of an old book. Only I didn't catch on until it was too late. It will teach me to have certain authors that I just order their books on the spot. I think you meant to say it will teach me not to have certain authors where I just order their book on the... Okay. Again. This is your fault. So what you're complaining about is the fact that you bought the same book twice because it was re-released with a new cover. Is this the first time that that's ever happened to you? That you've ever seen an author re-release a book with a different cover? Because in my experience, it's happened a ton of times. First of all, books that are initially only released in the US and then are later released in other countries, sometimes you get a totally different cover. Sometimes when they're translated into a different language, they get a totally different cover. Sometimes when a book has been out for 5 years and the publisher is trying to refresh that series to get new, younger readers interested in the series, they will redo the cover and reissue it. Take Nora Roberts, for example. She has done that with almost every book in her catalog, and she's been writing since like the late 70s. So I find it hard to believe that this is the first time that's ever happened to you. But even if it is, did you not read the blurb or the synopsis of the book before you clicked the buy button? Because if you read the blurb and it was the exact same characters that you know in your brain already got their HEA, and the plot sounds exactly the same as the book you read the first time, why would you buy it again? This sounds less like a Gena problem and more like a you're an idiot problem and you didn't do any research. So why would you give 1 star and then write rip off? She didn't rip you off. You ripped yourself off. You paid 2 times for the same book because you weren't smart enough to recognize that it was the same book. Okay? Do we see what we did wrong here? I just want you to know. That's your fault. That's not Gena's fault. That's your fault. Okay. 1 star. Buyer beware, you probably already bought this. Another one. I never write reviews, but I am so annoyed that these books are being reissued as if they are new. By the time I started reading, it was too late to return for a refund. I am so disappointed that this is allowed to happen by both the author and Amazon. Shame on you. Buyer beware. Buyer beware. Read the blurb before you buy the book. Oh my God. By reading the blurb and the details of the book, we could have circumvented almost every review on these pages. Literally, almost all of them would have been moot if you had just read the blurb and you had read the details of the book. Yeah. Please see my response to the last person who had the same problem that you're currently having. you're both idiots. You read, and if you tell me you read the blurb, that's even worse. Because you read the blurb that was about two characters you already knew had gotten their HEA. And you read the blurb with the exact same story that you had already read, and you still purchased it again. And then you got 50% into it, or whatever it was that you said, to realize that it was the same story that you had already read. It took you that long to realize that this was a book you had already read? I know that my brain is absolutely terrible. But my mom can text me out of the blue and just go, hey, what was the name of that Nora Roberts novel? It was like the girl who owned like a toy store for kids, and there was a single dad. Do you remember that book? I can immediately walk to my shelf, pull the book from literally her entire catalog that I own of like 500 novels. Look, find the one I'm looking for immediately. By color. Pull it off and be like, here you go, it's this one. I can't remember what I ate for breakfast today, but I fucking remember that. And yet you read an entire book and you didn't realize that this was the same book as that. Okay. Oh God, okay. Last one. I think this is the last one. Yes, this is the last one. We've made it to the last one. This is the same buyer that complained. Remember the tagline for Evil Queen that said, as awful as I imagined? The one that complained about the ants. It's the same girl. This one is for a different book though. So, an absolute dumpster fire is the subject line that she wrote. I do not say this lightly. This has quite possibly been the most difficult book I've ever forced myself through. It violated the big three. Is that a thing? Big three? I've never heard of that in my life. Plot, character, and dialogue. I can handle a book is a bit sucky on any one of these, or even two. But all three, the entire book, are you kidding? Period. Are you kidding? It was a waste of paper. Your birth certificate was a waste of paper. Let me ask you something. If you read a book by an author, and it's not just like, oh, it wasn't what I was expecting, and it was kind of flopped, and okay, I didn't really care for it, it flopped. I could see then you going, I'll give her another shot. It wasn't absolutely terrible, so let me give her another shot, and let me see if maybe I'll like this one. As you do, right? That's normal, right? If you read a book by an author and you hate it enough to get on Amazon and write what can only be described as a brain-melting, ridiculous review, why then would you purchase another book by the author that you don't like, that wrote the book you did not like? Why would you do that? To then come on and write another scathing review that says how much you did not like this one. I like to give people a shot. I like to be open-minded. But I can usually tell just within the first few chapters of a book, not about the plot in any way, because I do not believe that you can know how well the plot will develop throughout the book by the first few chapters. But I can tell by the first few chapters whether or not I will enjoy the author's writing style and be able to get my way through the book or be able to enjoy the book. It has to be well written. It has to be grammatically correct. There has to be spacing. There has to be pacing. There has to be flow. The writing style has to be good in order for me to immerse myself in a book, much less a series. If I read a book and I don't like the writing style of the book within the first few chapters, then I know automatically that it's going to be a struggle to get through this book. Sometimes you do not finish, sometimes you force your way through. When you're done, if you don't like it because it's lacking in plot, characters, and dialogue, why would you buy more books from that author? Are you like extremely wealthy? Do you just have money to burn? You just forget about the intellectual portion of why you do this. Maybe you just have a surplus of disposable income that you can just throw willy-nilly at whatever. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I can't. I just can't. I just can't. It was a waste of paper. All right, well, first of all, I'm pretty sure you bought it on your Kindle, so it wasn't even on paper. That's number one. Number two, your birth certificate was a waste of paper. I feel like they should, I want to go as far as to say that they should institute a thing on Amazon where if you buy something from someone and you rate it so low and did nothing but complain about it in the review, and you gave it 1 star, and you even put in the description, if I could have given it 0 stars, I would have given it 0 star. If you purchase another thing from that person, you should not be allowed to leave a review. How about that? Or it should not allow you to leave a review that is beneath a certain criteria, like a 4 star or a 3 star. You're just not allowed. You're just not allowed to, because at this point, you're just trolling the author. You're just complaining to complain. Maybe you're a masochist and you just enjoy being emotionally hurt by the same person repeatedly. Is that it? Like, what in your brain tells you to buy a book from an author that you've already said you did not like? That not only that the first book flopped for you, but you loathed it so much that you came on there and wrote a huge review about it. And then you bought another book. It boggles my mind. I hate you. You suck. Stop smearing my baby Gena's name. You're undeserving of her smile, her perfect smile. You're undeserving of her writing skills, her ability to create an entire world from nothing. You're undeserving of her blood, sweat, and tears that went into every single thing that she creates. Because this woman is probably the hardest working author that I have ever seen in my life. And maybe that's just because she is kind enough to give us glimpses into her writing. What's the fucking word I'm looking for? Her writing routine or her process. She's nice enough to give us sneak peeks at her writing process. And there's not any day, not even one day, does she take off where she's not editing or writing or revising or proofreading or creating teasers or answering Q&As or anything. Literally, these books that she gives us are her life. She's neglecting her life to give us these masterpieces. And yes, I will say masterpieces, because regardless of what you may think about the romance genre, all of these books, well, most of these books, I won't say all because I can't speak for every book in the universe or every romance novel in the universe, but most of these books are well developed. They're well thought out. The plots are intricate. And the love story between the main characters is deep and meaningful and touching and poignant and every other fucking SAT word that I can think of. And you're just, this is you. This is your life. This is what you'll be remembered for. Are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of yourself? I can't even imagine what your Goodreads looks like. I hate Goodreads. Goodreads is a cesspool of negative, terrible people. If you would write this on Amazon, on the buying platform where the author sells her books, I can only imagine what your Goodreads looks like. You should be banned from using the internet. They should make you, if on the rare occasion they let you on the internet, they should make you use dial-up. That's what they should make you do. That's what you deserve to hear every time you get on the internet. As a reminder that your opinions are just as grating as that sound. And that you're a terrible human being. And that's all I have to say about that. So, and Jerry Springer, final thoughts. This one, I've done two before this. This one in this series may have hurt me the most. Because whereas in the other two, I could find humor in a lot of the things that I found. In this one, the majority of the 1-star reviews were negative, obviously, disparaging, lacking in all substance. Could not find a fucking iota of substance. Poorly written. Just terrible. You're just negative for the sake of being negative. And why do that? Why? What's the point of that? At least with the others, I could find some reviews where it was clear that the person who wrote it was lacking in brain cells. Because the stuff they would write would be comical. With these, your sole intention was to drag the author down and just to drag her. And what is the point? Like, what do you accomplish from doing that? I am all for everyone has a right to their opinion. Okay. But your opinion is not the only opinion in the universe. You can go on and say, I did not like it. It wasn't for me. It didn't hold my attention. I couldn't get through it. Fine. Fine. But you say that, and then you go on to say in a very poorly written way how the characters were shit and the plot was shit and it sucked and you couldn't get into the series and yada 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 yada. It was poorly written, whatever. Did I say poorly written? I can't remember. But then you'll out yourself by saying, I only read 20% of the book. I just can't. I just can't. What's the point? For me, I read a book. I don't like it. I don't. First of all, I've come to the realization in my life that I don't need to purchase every book I see. That's number one. I don't have space for them. I'm not going to enjoy or like every book that I read. Fine. Right? So what I do is I sign up for things like KU, where I can read books for free. Or I'll buy a book secondhand, maybe. Even then, that's a stretch. And I'll read it. And if I like it on Kindle, I will give the author more money for like the trade paperback or whatever. But I've reached the age where I understand, and I've matured. I know that I am mature enough to recognize that for every person who didn't enjoy that book, there is about 50,000 other people who did, who love it, who got into it, who adored the characters, who adored the plot. It just wasn't for me. And I can say that. But I don't need to go on Amazon and say that. I don't need to go on Goodreads and say that. I don't need to go on whatever and drag the author's name through the mud. Because I personally, as a one individual, did not care for the book. Because there's literally no benefit to what you're doing. There's no benefit. There's nothing. You're getting nothing out of that. Like, you make my head hurt. You make my head hurt. That's all I can say. I can't. Anyway, so yeah. So did I enjoy making this video? Not really. I enjoyed bringing to light the people, even though I didn't use usernames or even real names or whatever, or show like caption screenshots of what the comments look like. And I didn't dox anyone. But I still enjoyed coming on and bringing light to the fact that what you wrote had no substance whatsoever. I enjoyed that part of it. But it also leaves a bad taste in my mouth because I realize that you literally contribute nothing to the world. And that's, I don't know what your real life is like, but if you're this type of person, I can only imagine. It does not make you look favorable in any way. It does not make you look intelligent. It does not add to your mystique. It does not add value to your life, what you're doing. You literally just wasted your own time. That's all I can say. Anyway, there were some funny bits, mostly my hysterical reactions to these reviews. So hopefully you enjoyed this, you as a viewer. Hopefully you found some amusement in this. If you enjoyed this video, go back and watch my other two. I've done two other videos for this series, centering around Penelope Douglas and Cressley Cole. Those two were much funnier, especially Penelope Douglas one. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy those. Go check those out. If you like me and you like my channel, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. If you do subscribe, make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications when I upload a new video. I usually upload at least once a week. If you'd like, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram all the time. Literally all the time. Literally all the time. And yeah. I'll put all the links in the description box below, and I'll put a little banner on the screen for you guys to see. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm done. I've had enough. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Okay? Bye. Good enough with the good enough. Okay. Brian had sex with a really dumb girl. Now he's taking his friend Stewie to get some ice cream in his car. Yes, I do watch Family Guy. I've seen them many a time. Okay. Since it's the Christmas season, or close to, how about a nice little rendition of Ding Fries Are Done? Ding fries are done, ding fries are done, ding fries are done. I gotta run, I gotta run, I gotta run, I gotta run. I work at Burger King making Flimbo Whoppers. I wear paper hats. Would you like an apple pie with that? Would you like an apple pie with that? What's it like to be inside my head? Crowded. And yet, when you say hello, you hear like an echo. Is anyone alive out there? I don't know why I just thought of Titanic when I said that. Okay, so let's get into it because we're gonna go in. We're gonna go in. I hate people. I just want to state that for the record. I legitimately hate people. They are the worst. Not you guys, but everybody else. I just hate everybody. Okay. Okay. I know my angle is off. I ran out of storage. Of course I ran out of storage. Okay. So, where were we? Where were we? Okay. So, rip off. Okay. I hate the world. I hate everybody in it. I hate just people. People are trash. Guess what's in this cup? It's tea. It's tea. You'll notice that I changed my background again. I realized my personality is too dark for that pastel butterfly bullshit that I had going on. It's pretty, but it's not me. So here we are in a dark forest with like little floating lights. There are more that you can't see going up, but this is me and my personality. If you're here, it means we're here. Anyway, my back. Oh, I'm so schlumpy. Okay. very late. I haven't put my child to bed yet. My lipstick is like, what the fuck? Matte. Anyway, I love you guys so much. I love you guys so much. And I'll see you in my next video. Come find me on Instagram. At symbol what underscore the underscore smut. Follow me on Instagram. I'll probably follow you back unless your account is private, and then I won't follow you back because I don't know what you post. If you're a bookstagrammer and you have a bookstagram, follow me because I will follow you back. Come chit chat with me. I go on and I literally just go on like a hearting spree, and I'm just like heart, because I like spreading the love and not the negativity. I'm all about that because there's enough negativity in the world. Hell, there's enough negativity in my life. Anxiety, depression, manic spasmus. That's all I do on Instagram is I post memes and I shit talk. And I talk about books with sexy times. My neck hurts when I do that. Okay, I'll see you later. I love you. How many clicks? What do you think? 3, 4, 1, 2.